Welcome to the Envelopes Emmy Contender Series. I'm Yvonne Villarreal for the Los Angeles Times. Today we're talking to Alex Bornstein, who plays Susie Meyerson in the TV series The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Not Susan.
Not
Susie.
Susan. Susie with an S.
Susie with an S.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I kind of want, for the diehard Gilmore Girls fans, they know that you originally played Sookie in the pilot.
This is true.
And then I think it was your commitment to Mad TV kept you from being on the show, right?
Mm-hmm. So I played different parts.
Different parts.
Yes.
Really good parts.
Yeah, can't complain.
Can't complain. Had you known Amy ShermanPalladino before then, or?
Yeah, you want to know?
Yeah.
I work on Family Guy, do voices and a writer, and her husband, Dan Palladino, was our showrunner. He hired me as a writer there. So I met him first, and he said, "You should read my wife's pilot. You should read this." I was like, "Why? Just trust me. You should read this." And he kind of thought Sookie would be a good fit from the get-go. So that's how I met Amy. It was through Dan, and I couldn't play Sookie, so she just changed the K to an S, and now I'm Susie. That's how it works.
And so you kept in touch, and she said, did she let you know that I want to work with you again at some point?
Yeah, we have always been trying to do something together. I had some things I brought to her, and then I was developing separately, and then she was separately, and then Bunheads, and I was on, everything kind of, and then I was on Getting On and things. So, but the timing kind of, well, actually the timing was strange because I had just decided I think I'm done with on-camera work, and I'm moving to Barcelona. And I did. I moved to Barcelona, and literally like a week later, she's like, "You're gonna kill me, but read the script." So now I commute from Barcelona to New York.
So what made you say, I'm done with this, I'm gonna move?
I just wanted a different life. I wanted to try something new. I felt like I was stagnating, and I wanted my kids to have an interesting experience and see what it felt like to be a bit of an immigrant and an outsider and have to learn a new world and a new language and a new culture, and I nailed it. It's been an amazing experience for all of us.
How did you decide on Barcelona?
I spun a globe.
Wow.
Kind of. I mean, I knew Spanish would be the ideal language for my kids to learn, and then it was like, okay, what Spanish-speaking cities would work? And I did a lot of research, and Barcelona had a lot of people had been expats there and written about it, and it's wonderful for kids, and the school was great. So
One of my favorite places.
I applied to the school and got in, and
what were you going to study?
Not for me, for my kids.
Oh, for your kids.
For my kids,
I was like,
yeah.
wow. What did you think you were going to do
I'm studying tapas, vino tinto, and Spanish men.
The best.
That's
Yes,
what I'm studying.
the best thing.
Hello, thank you for watching.
What did you think you were going to do there? Just
I just kind of wanted, maybe it's a midlife crisis. I don't know. I wanted a new beginning, a fresh start. I worked on a show called Getting On, and it ended, and it really broke my heart. I was shattered and wanted to just open new things up, and so I've done some theater in Barcelona. I did a play and met a lot of just really interesting people there, and I'm kind of writing, but mostly just parenting and exploring.
And so Amy sends you the script.
Amy sends me the script, and I was like, oh crap, I am doomed. I have to play this part. So I went to New York. I auditioned for it and got the part, and then we did the pilot, and here we are, about to start shooting, or we have started season 2.
And I think you guys are going to Paris, right? Or you shot in Paris?
We did. We went to Paris.
How was that?
They speak French there.
Yeah.
And the pastries are delicious. It was lovely. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and it's only an hour and a half from Barcelona, so it was very convenient.
It's good. I mean, one of the things that I would think would be a concern is on a show that explores the stand-up world is the jokes have to be good. It's hard to make that happen. I remember that was something that overshadowed Studio 60. If the comedy's not good, then how does this work? Was that a concern for you of how are you gonna make this land?
Amy ShermanPalladino is very funny. She's got just natural timing and comedic instinct, and she writes in a comedic rhythm. And she was very wise that she chose to make Midge a stream of consciousness monologuist as opposed to a setup punch. So you can rely on this funny character and this funny personality, and her raw, vulnerable, and honest observations tend to be funny because anything that's painful with a little time is funny.
Right. And what's crucial is your relationship, the Susie and Midge relationship.
The womance.
The womance. So good. Talk about what it was like sort of developing that, and what do you remember from the actual initial audition with Rachel?
We, were put in a room immediately. When I went to audition, we were put in the room and read together, having never met, and it just worked. It was like Mary and Rhoda. She's a very delicate, feminine creature, and I'm kind of like a bulldog, and it just worked. There was an immediate amount of trust, and they're both vulnerable, and they're both hard in different ways. So it's really interesting, but it's so important to me. Like, female friendships are the most important thing in my life. I've got wonderful male friends too, but I just came downtown early to meet with my best friend, who I met when I was 12 years old, and we just went to the jewelry district and we just bought matching rings. We just bought friendship rings to mark our 700 year. It's the truest, most genuine, I think, relationship that's possible, and so I'm happy this show celebrates it, and you don't get to see it a lot.
What spoke to you about Susie? What did you sort of gravitate toward with her?
The money. They offered me a great deal. No, I liked that it was a woman who was not a mother, who was not a spouse, who was not whining about trying to find somebody, who was not just being a sidekick to a hot chick who was trying to find somebody. It passed the Bornstein test, which is similar to the Bechdel test.
Yes.
I have kids. I don't want to do that on television. I don't want to play a mom and have that life exposed there. I want this, I don't know, just an interesting, well-rounded woman who's on her own figuring herself out.
What do you think drew her to comedy, and what drew you to comedy?
Susie? I think she's always been a smartass. I think she's had a painful life, and the comic relief brought some relief to her, and from misery, comedy's born. So I think it's just in her. It's a part of her. But I think she would never do it herself. She's more of a Salieri and likes to find her Mozarts, like an art collector, And she just finally found this painting that she can't believe it, and she wants to share it with the world. She'd also like to make some money.
She'd like to make some.
She wants some money. Money's good.
I love that Murphy bed apartment.
I know, right?
Yeah.
She could use a
some.
second bra. It would be nice. I think Susie has one bra, and it's pointy.
Did you have to wear the pointy bra?
Wear the pointy bra.
Even though we don't see it.
Even though you don't see it. Although we did a scene afterwards where I'm like just home alone. I was like, please, can I just be in a t-shirt with no bra? I'm like, okay.
How was the costuming? Because you don't have to wear the structured sort of.
I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
Poor Rachel's like pent up, like she is like a sausage, and I'm like just a ground beef in a sack. It's great. It's I knew I wanted to have kind of like dungarees, and I knew and I wanted suspenders, and I specifically said I want keys around my neck and a hat, and so Amy kind of took all my requests, and then Donna, who's brilliant.
Yeah.
The pants that they found are these like men's work pants that I love.
So good.
And I think the actual boots that I wear on the show are the costume designers from her just home collection she brought in, and I was like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, we just put insoles in them, and they're old boots, and then I wear these little sweaters that kind of look like they're from like an adolescent boy's husky section of a Sears catalog. So. Very sexy.
Very sexy. Yeah. We all identify with it.
But comfortable.
Comfortable. Comfort's
really nice.
key.
It's really nice.
You talked about what drew Susie to comedy. What drew you to comedy?
Similar things, I think. I grew up, I was kind of the comic relief in my household. We had a chronic illness in the family, and so a lot of emergency room visits, and my role was to be silly and add levity, and we're Jewish, so every Passover is a performance. You kind of learn to role play and do voices at the Passover Seder, and so I think it just kind of being the youngest, the only girl. I don't know. My mother was very Rachel-like in a way, very much like Rose, I think, on the show, in that she's beautiful. Has always just been like naturally thin and had a real easy go of the exterior, and So I think early on I was like, all right, that spot's filled. What can I do? What can I add to this mix? And what's my personality?
It was interesting, like one of the parts that I like, when I was younger, I thought women did do that of getting up before the husband wakes up, putting on everything, going back to bed, because you have to look pretty.
Yeah, that's insane.
And going to sleep that way, but like waking up to take it all off, it's like...
It's crazy. The only person that should do that is a sex worker, because that's your job, and you got to commit and make that work. That's the fantasy. But I think
it's a lot.
You're married, you know.
Let
the
'em
joy
see
of
it.
marriage is sweatpants and acne medicine and a ponytail. That's what marriage should be.
Scrunchies, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite episodes is episode 4, where you guys are where you're taking Midge along to see some acts to
right.
sort of get a sense of how people set up their jokes or the timing of letting an audience take it in. How is that like for you as a stand-up person to sort of sit back and watch?
It's so great that none of it's on me. I love that I'm not responsible for any of the stand-up or big laughs or jokes. But that was one of the most fun days we had, was when we shot, and there was a guy, his name is Ambrose, playing a ventriloquist.
Yes.
We laughed so hard, genuinely, at his performance every take after take, that we were like peeing and laughing so hard, and it was such a joy to just sit back and watch someone else do all the work.
What is it like for you when you've been on stage receiving it?
Stand-up's hard. It's one of the hardest things in the world, and it's really lonely. Like, I never became a road comic. I think I would have ended my life. It just would have been too sad for me. And it's hard for me to repeat the same material over. I get sick of it, and I want to change it, and you really should be working at the same thing over. So I don't think I was really, truly built. I really did it because it was the quickest way to perform. I just was like, I want to be on stage, and okay, I'll try this. But I'm not really like a craft, like Seinfeld and people that Steve Martin work for years and craft this. I don't think I'm really, that's not my art.
How early did you realize that? Like, this is not the kind I want to do.
Well, it's not that I realized this isn't what I want to do. I think you just realized I don't know how marketable I am in this. And when I first did it, the first time I did stand-up, I was 16. And it was so much fun. 16. It was silliness. And yeah, my parents had to come in because it was in a bar and they wouldn't let me in. And I made $20.
In New York?
No, this was in LA.
In LA.
This was actually in the San Fernando Valley.
Wow.
At a place called Gallagher's at the bottom of the Ramada Inn in Chatsworth. Yeah.
So what prompted it?
Our camera guy is pumping his fist, which means he is a sad, lonely alcoholic. It was a very weird place, but they paid me $20, and I like that. Actually, for like 20 years, that was the only money I ever made really doing stand-up, because most of you do open mics for free for most of your life.
Yeah.
But they thought it was so cute that I was 16, but then you know,
Wait,
in college
can I
I
ask?
started doing it again, and then you know, it was in the dorms and at the Jewish Community Center, wherever I could get up. But I didn't really push and go, I'm going to go to Punchline and wait for a spot, and I'm going to go. I just kind of did it very casually. And later, after I did Mad TV, then I started working on it more and had the ability to sell tickets and do like a one-person show stand-up thing, having some familiar fan base a little bit from Mad TV that I could afford to do it.
Right.
But that's really not stand-up, because the people are already wanting to like you and coming and going like, do Miss Swan or do something.
Yeah.
So it was cheating. I don't feel like I ever really
Winning the audience over is like...
paid my dues.
Yeah.
Or Hard Knocks, you know, and Amy Schumer or Sarah Silverman that really, really, really did it.
What prompted you at 16 to think, I want to try this?
I think I was always getting in trouble for trying to do it in class, or I think, I don't know, arrogance, narcissism, neediness, all those sad things. Is this as sad as the other interview yet? No. What should I bring up? Orphans?
Orphans, yes.
HIV.
When you told your parents, though, they were like supportive off the bat, or?
Yeah, they were very supportive. Maybe too supportive. Maybe creating three delusional children. But they got a kick out of it. They thought it was funny. I think my mom you know, my mom's a Holocaust survivor, and she's, just to bring it down again, and she emigrated to the States, and she was brought up in a very constrictive, tight, serious, kind of heavy. I think she liked that I was this mouthy, big force, and I think she embraced it and thought it was cool.
Well, in the subsequent episode 5, we see that Midge is sort of feeling confident when she's about to do a stand-up routine, and she bombs. She bombs hard. Have you been there before? Do you remember the first time you bombed?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it seared in your memory?
It's this interview. It's happening right now. It's live. Oh my God. No, it's happened so many times. It happens a lot. I remember one terrible, terrible joke I told and offended the entire room, and it was just ice, and that was the most painful.
What do you do?
It was a Selena joke. It was
the singer.
Yes, the Tejano singer
Yeah.
that Jennifer Lopez
Yes.
played, and it
Do I
didn't
dare ask? But
No, I will not repeat it. It did not go over well, and like there were gasps. The audience did that, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, I found the line. I found it.
So what do you do in that moment?
You know, you try to recoup and immediately go back to an old joke, an old material that usually works, but a lot of times you can't.
Wow.
Fortunately, your sets are so short at that point that it kind of ends. But it's, you know, it's exciting too, though. Failing, it's kind of like, you know, if you have sunshine every day, you don't appreciate a sunny day. Like it makes it that much more exciting when you kill and have success.
That's cool. Well, we're gonna take some fan questions if you don't
Oh,
mind.
I can't wait.
This
3060.
I feel your pain.
3060.
I already feel your pain here. What is your favorite show? Gilmore Girls or Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
You know, I wouldn't say favorite, but I feel there's more comfort and familiarity with Maisel. Like being from a Jewish family, it feels very familiar and makes sense. And Gilmore Girls was, you know, a bunch of goyim in the middle of Connecticut. That wasn't anything that I could relate to, but I have a very tight relationship with my mom, so that was meaningful. But I guess this just feels more close to home.
Another question is, what is your favorite part of working on the show?
Well, there's a lot of good food. They do a lot of black and white cookies and a lot of brisket. They do a lot of Jewy New York food, so that's fun. But it's the people and the material. Amy's brilliant. Dan Palladino's brilliant. Rachel's like an acting machine. She's amazing and charming, and you know, she should be a real jerk. She's everything, but she's just cool and fun. So I think the people, you know, the people and the material.
Okay. If you weren't working in television, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't working in television and I was smart, I'd love to work in some kind of science field or maybe genetics, or I always wanted to build bridges.
Really?
I thought it would be cool to build and design bridges. But I learned you have to be able to add and
Adding's
do
not your
long
forte?
division.
Yeah.
And no, I just don't.
You'd be falling off a lot
I
of
don't think
bridges.
I have a great interest in those fields, but I don't think I would be an innovative force by any means.
Well, and the show obviously explores the challenges that female comics face in terms of, you know, breaking into this world. Is that something you could relate to, or would you say a lot of the barriers are still the same, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. We have Amy Schumer and Sarah Silverman selling out stadiums and touring, and Melissa McCarthy and these huge movies and Wonder Woman, and those huge changes. But I don't know. I don't know how. I still feel like they pepper stand-up. They hire stand-ups and they're like, okay, we've got 7 men, let's get 2 women.
Yeah.
Pepper it. Or we still feel like a
Filling a
spice
quota.
as opposed
Yeah.
to an entree. But I also haven't been doing it for a long time, so I don't know. But it definitely used to feel like if you go to a club or an open mic and wait, the guys backstage, it felt very exclusionary. There wasn't, I didn't feel included in that regard, but I don't know if that's just also because I was new. Maybe it would have warmed up and, I don't know. I think comedy's hard no matter what.
No matter what.
Penis or vagina, it is tough.
How about when you go from something like Getting On, where I feel like there was room for improvisation a little bit more, to go to something like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, where I feel like it may be a little more structured? How was that for you?
Very structured. We didn't really, we had occasional things where we would try stuff and improvise, but we had input with Getting On at the table read stage. And we could change something a little bit to our turn of phrase that felt better in our mouths, or it was easier. And they were not word for word insane. Amy is like, this is how it's written, and I want that word there instead of, and so you have to nail it. And I don't mind, I'm just terrible at it. I'm old and I can't remember. The older I get, like Rachel's in her half my age, she's in her 20s, and so she's like, blah, 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 and I'm marveling, but then I remember, oh no, wait, I used to be able to do that too. But now, like, 2 babies came out of me, like my body's crazy, my brain's doesn't work.
Are you naturally a fast talker? Was that part of it easy, or?
Yeah, I am naturally a fast talker.
Because we often hear about the Amy pace of things.
Yeah, that part wasn't hard, but just getting the words right.
Words right.
That's the hard part.
Can we talk a little bit about what that experience was like working on Getting On, which was such a good show from HBO.
That's my favorite thing.
Talk to me about working with Laurie Metcalf, Niecy Nash, June Squibb. Like, what was?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and those guys making that show were artists, man. They were just, they knew exactly what they wanted, and I would love to show up and just be like, go, like just use me, tell me exactly what you want, and it was amazing. Laurie's looking at her face, it's almost like it's like a jazz instrument. She hits notes with her face alone that you didn't know existed, and she just finds these incredible moments, and it was so much fun working with her, and we've stayed very close, and that's also wonderful. That show it was a pivotal time in my life, and so many of the relationships I made on it were so meaningful, and the work was meaningful, and the guys who ran it, Mark and Will, they saw things in us that we didn't even know when they cast us. They saw in Niecy something that was possible that Niecy wasn't even aware of yet. And for me too, this type of character that was nuts, but also so vulnerable and so desperate, and it was just so interesting, and things that I didn't know I was capable of. And I don't think I would have. I had just had a baby. I think my audition tape was successful because I was just a delirious mess and hadn't had sleep, and was like, my tits were leaking and I was teary, and like it was just like perfect for Dawn.
Perfect for her, yes.
Every way, and yeah, it was just perfect timing.
Great show.
Thanks, I loved it.
How about share it with us, your favorite sort of Amy memory or moment?
There's a lot I can't share. I shared it once, and she's like, "Really? Why would you tell that?" I don't even know. I mean, we have a connection that feels like we've known each other since the beginning of time, and some of that is similar upbringings and families and being neurotic. We have a similar look, you know what I mean? We have dark hair and this similar kind of skin tone, and many times when we're out together, people assume we're sisters.
Yeah.
But also just kind of being self-deprecating women that have been working as writers and working in comedy. We just share a lot in common in that regard. I don't know what's
great.
I can't.
It's fun to see her in action.
Oh,
like
yeah.
when she's on the set. Like
she knows exactly what she wants, and we both really enjoy steak. I probably just lost a lot of fans who are vegans or whatever, but boy, do we.
Are there a lot of steak dinners with you guys?
There are many steak dinners. That's when we first really bonded in Toronto, where we shot the Gilmore Girls pilot. It was at a steak restaurant called Barbarians. And I mean, it was the size of my torso, the meat that we had. And it was so good. We ate every bit of this meat. And so we still, many times, we go out for marrow and
Wow.
ribeyes and porterhouses and
Nice.
just heart attack food.
Heart attack food.
We're going to
is
die
good.
together, I guess. That's the bond. Amy and I are going to be buried in a piano together.
I love that. Well, we're going to end the chat with a lightning round.
Oh,
Prepare yourself.
that wasn't the lightning round?
No.
Oh, God. Okay.
Last show you binge watched.
Mindhunter.
If you could go back and be on any TV show ever, what would it be?
Johnny Carson.
Ooh. A lot of people watch TV to unwind. What do you do to unwind?
I masturbate.
What do you know that you wish you knew on your first acting job?
What do I wish I knew my first acting job. Oh God, I don't know. I guess maybe to own it a little bit more. Just own it. Take the character and own it.
Have you ever been fired from an acting job?
No.
Good. Which Golden Girls character do you most identify with? Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, or Sophia?
Oh, it's only the women characters?
Oh, you can take it where you want.
I would say probably B. Arthur.
Good job.
Probably B. Arthur. I was going to tell a terrible Golden Girls story, and I'm not going to.
Tell it. Now I want to know.
I can't. It's dirty, and everyone's already heard it. But yeah, B. Arthur's my favorite.
Will you tell me when we go off the air?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's go off the air then.
Okay.
Thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure.
I was told to look at this camera now.
For you guys, if you want to check out more of our Emmy chats, head over to latimes.com.